I'd like to call the Monday, March 25th, 2019 Blue Springs, Missouri Planning Commission meeting to order, and if I could ask you to please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let me go over the agenda for this evening. First, we'll have the consent agenda, and then I'm going to make an adjustment. We've decided to make an adjustment to the order. We're going to bring Forcia, which is item 9, up to item 2. All right, so that will be second. Then we'll have the public hearing for winter meat, the public hearing rezoning for Novel Place at White Oak, the public hearing for the plan unit development for Novel Place. We'll have then the public hearing vacation for Duvet, followed by their conditional use permit and their site plan. And then finally, we'll have the final plat for Walnut Street development and any other business. All right, so we've just made an adjustment. So with that, I would entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner?
I move that the meeting minutes from March 11th for the Planning Commission be approved as submitted by staff.
Okay.
I'll second.
And second, Commissioner Pribbings. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the consent agenda has been approved. Okay, now that we're going to go down to item 9, which is now we're going to use as item 2. And Mr. Stanton's going to be presenting it for us for the staff. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you, Madam Chair and Planning Commissioners. Before you tonight is a master sign plan for Forcia, which is located at the corner of Jefferson Street and Northeast 20th Street. The property is currently zoned LI, or Light Industrial District. Overall, they're proposing a total of 6 new signs that would be permitted. And they're requesting this master sign plan to allow for flexibility in their directional signage, which includes the size, the height, and the location of those directional signs. So first here, they are proposing one wall sign on the east facade, which contains the main entrance to the building, and one wall sign on the south facade, which faces Jefferson Street. As you can see here, it will be internally lit, and it'll be located on the same spot on both of those walls. They are also proposing a monument sign, which will be located along Jefferson Street, which meets all applicable requirements of the sign code. It will also be internally lit, as you can kind of make out here how the Forcia stands out from the background in that night view. And then what they're requesting the master sign plan for, the variance for, is these directional signs. They'll be having 3 of the larger ones that you can see on this slide here, the one on the left. According to the sign code, these signs do not meet the requirements for the sign area, the sign height, and the sign location, because directional signage is limited to a maximum of 3 square feet. Each one of these signs is proposed to be 10.8 square feet per sign. And also the directional signage per the sign code is limited to 3 feet in height. And they're proposing 6 foot, 3 inch tall signs. However, staff does find that this proposal is acceptable due to the nature of the truck traffic that these directional signs will be directing. And in order for them to be legible from the height of the cab and from the distance that the truck drivers would be looking at these signs from, we find that the larger signs will be acceptable for this request. And then the other issue is that the signs are proposed to be located in the public right-of-way. As you can see on this slide, the reason for this is because Northeast 20th Street's right-of-way is actually 200 feet wide, which means in order for the signs to not be located on a right-of-way, they would have to be unlegible from the right-of-way, basically. So Public Works and Planning are both okay with the proposed setback, which is 62 foot from the curb of Northeast 20th Street because we don't think that it will impact traffic or the site triangle of that roadway. So with all of that, staff recommends approval of this master sign plan application with the one condition listed in the staff report. The applicant, Dan Hurley with Impact Signs, is here to answer any questions, and I'm also open for any questions you may have.
Do the commissioners have a question for staff? Okay, would the applicant like to come forward? How are you?
Hi, thank you.
Do you have anything you want to share?
No, he summed it up fairly well, I think. The directionals are what he said, the cab height, things like that are the reason they went the higher ones. Their experience has been that it helps truck traffic and the flow around the facility much better. The one on the east elevation, they hoped would not be objectionable because that helps to keep their brand, as most of their facilities have those type of signs in those locations as well. So that was the reason for wanting to keep that.
Okay. Do the commissioners have a question for the applicant? Yeah, they're not. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there any other further comment, conversation, or anything? All right.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Again, following up from last week, give you some input here.
Okay.
I also think that due to the size of this development, having the larger signs makes a lot more sense too, so that it's in scale with what
Definitely.
we're doing.
Well, because being around trucking most of my younger years, I can see why they need the lot higher, because when you're sitting in a cab, you can't see.
Those small signs would be lost
No.
on that large building.
When you're sitting up in a big rig, yeah, I can understand that too. And plus, the location doesn't hurt you, buddy.
Yeah.
So I'm in favor. All right, with that, any other conversation? I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner?
get back to the right place here. I would move for approval of ASP 03196838 with staff recommendations.
Okay, there's one condition, okay?
I'll second.
And there's a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the master alternative sign for Forcia has been approved. Okay, now we're going to go to public hearings. And the first one will be winter meat. So let me explain I'll read the kind of the guidelines of the public hearing. I'll open the public hearing and I'll call for exhibits for the city attorney to read. Then the staff will make their presentation. The applicant will then make theirs. I'll call for witnesses in favor, then witnesses opposed. Then we'll have any general discussion among the commissioners, and then I'll close the public hearing, at which time we'll vote, not just me, we'll all vote, and our recommendation will go to the city council. So with that, I will open the public hearing for the vacation of winter meat and ask for exhibits to be read, please.
Madam Chairman, I offer the following exhibits into the record. 1, staff report with attachments. 2, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on March 9, 2019. 3, application with attachments. 4, 185-foot notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of the letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section, Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. And 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wright.
All right, thank you, Chairman Banks and Commissioners. Before you this evening is a request to vacate existing street right-of-way, which is located north of Northwest Oak Street between Northwest 11th and 12th Streets. The proposed vacation covers an approximately 40 feet wide by 200-foot long right-of-way, which was part of the original 1878 plat of the town of Blue Springs. At that time, it was platted as Grove Street. The applicant, Winter Meat, owns parcels on both sides of the right-of-way and is the only property currently utilizing the right-of-way for access. Builder's Overhead Door also owns a property adjacent to the south half of the east side of the right-of-way, and they have submitted a letter of consent to the vacation. All utilities in the area have consented to the vacation. There are no utilities in the area to be vacated, and therefore no easements need to be reserved. The right-of-way does not serve a public purpose, and the land would be better utilized under private ownership.
Staff does recommend approval of the vacation, subject to the 2 conditions and the staff report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Are there any questions for staff? Thank you very much. Would the applicant like to come forward?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor? Or that wanted to speak in opposition? Yes, sir?
In favor,
In favor? Did you want to come forward?
please. I can just talk to these.
No, you'll have to come up and be sworn in, sir. Pardon me? What's he saying?
The
Oh,
mic
okay.
is
Okay,
not-
all right, go ahead and come on up if you want. If you be sworn in, right there, sir.
Okay.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you
Yes.
God?
Okay. I think he was going to give you. The mic's on, isn't it? It was on.
Yeah,
It was on.
yeah, it was on.
it was off.
No, it's on.
The red light was on.
There we
Okay,
go.
all right. All right, go ahead, sir.
I was just wondering, what do we do with
Okay, okay, first I need your name and address.
My name is William Adams, 1900 Northwest Second.
Okay?
And I own a property north of the deal, and I was worried about water runoff from the storm sewer and all that.
Well, I don't know that they're going to be doing anything. This is just a vacation of that area.
No, I was just worried about the water runoff from their building down to my building. That area in there gets flooded all the time.
It does or does not?
It does.
Well, have you gone to the city about that?
No.
You might want to talk to the city because we're only doing a variance. We don't have I don't know if anybody here wants to say anything about water. I would go to the city and talk to them first because I don't have any control on the water if you're having any difficulties with that, but we'll make note of that. So,
Okay.
okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
if you want to wait after the meeting, I'll get your information.
Okay.
Well, we've got it. Okay. We've got your phone number and address, and we can pass that on to.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there any other comments or anything from the commissioners?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I just kind of want to make sure, did we get a full swear-in on his testimony? Okay, all right, that was my only concern. Also, I'd like to ask staff, on the 185-foot notification letters, were any returned?
Yes, I've received 4 of those, 4 of them, and 2 of those are from actual Winter Perry trustee. So.
Okay. And any letters of opposition
No.
received? All right, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other conversation or anything, comments? Okay. With that, I would entertain a motion. Oh, I've got to close the meeting, excuse me. I'll close the public hearing. And now I would entertain a motion. Sorry, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner?
I move that vacation VAC 02196823 for winter meat with the 2 conditions be approved as submitted by staff.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
A second. Okay, roll call, please.
Planning Commissioner Cradoff,
Aye.
Commissioner Casey,
Aye.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Fairbanks,
Aye.
Commissioner Peel,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry, Commissioner Haney, Commissioner Billups,
Aye.
Chairman Banks.
Aye. Okay, the vacation for winter meat with the 2 conditions have been approved. That will be heard and passed on a recommendation to the City Council for April the 1st, and they meet at 6 o'clock. Okay? Now I'll open the public hearing for the rezoning, and I believe we're going to hear the rezoning and the amended planned unit development together, so I'll open the public hearing and ask for attorney to read our staff exhibits.
Madam Chairman, for the rezoning, case number RZ-03-19-6829, excuse me, I offer the following exhibits into the record. Exhibit 1, staff report with attachments. 2, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on March 9, 2019. 3, application with attachments. 4, 185-foot notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of the letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference. And on the public hearing for the amended planned unit development concept plan, PUDC-03-19-6830, I offer the following exhibits into the record. 1, staff report with attachments. 2, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on March 9, 2019. 3, application with attachments. 4, 185-foot notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of the letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. And 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Wright.
All right, thank you, Chairman Banks and Commissioners. Before this evening are 2 requests related to the Novel Place at White Oak Marketplace development, which is a proposed multifamily housing development that is planned for independent senior living. The subject property is 5.46 acres and is located approximately 230 feet south of Southwest Sunset Avenue and west of the Price Chopper at White Oak Marketplace. The first request is for a rezoning of the property from GB PUD, which is General Business Plan Unit Development, to MF18 PUD, High Density Multifamily with a Planned Unit Development. A PUD concept plan for White Oak Marketplace was approved in 2015, which permitted up to 180 multifamily units on the approximately 7.5 acres that is west of the Price Chopper. The northern approximately 2 acres is not included as part of this rezoning or the concept plan that's immediately adjacent to Southwest Sunset. The condition at that time of the PUD approval was that the property be rezoned to the appropriate multifamily zoning district. Based on the proposed residential building type and density, the MF18 zoning district is most appropriate at this location. The comprehensive plan designates the property as part of a distinct destination, which accommodates a mix of land uses, including high-density residential, near major corridors and intersections. The specific plan for the area designates the property as high-density residential, which is intended to accommodate multi-unit residential buildings with a net density of greater than 12 units per acre. Staff does believe that the proposed development and site plan meet the review criteria for rezoning to the MF18 zoning district, as supported by the comprehensive plan and the specific plan. The rezoning would set a positive precedent for integrating high-density residential development into planned developments along major corridors, which is supported by the 2019 Community Housing Assessment Team report, which was presented to the City Council back in January. As part of the chat report, there was recommendation in transforming commercial corridors into walkable mixed-use environments. Staff does believe that the rezoning and the proposed development plan is compatible with adjacent zoning districts, which include a mix of retail, office, and apartments. The second request is for an amended PUD concept plan for the 5.46 acre site. The main reason for the amendment is due to the changes in the building type and site layout from the 2015 proposal, which at that time included 3 separate buildings with 180 units total. Although the initial White Oak Marketplace PUD was approved under the 1996 UDC, since the project does require a rezoning, staff is reviewing the application under the 2015 UDC. The proposed project includes a single 3-story building, classified as a mid-rise apartment building with 134 housing units. The net density of the site is a little over 24.5 units per acre. Access to the site will be provided by internal access drives through White Oak Marketplace, including a drive to Southwest 7 Highway and a drive to Southwest Sunset Avenue. The access drives have been were platted as part of the White Oak Marketplace development to ensure that the site does remain accessible to the public right-of-way in the future. As part of the PUD concept plan process, the applicant is requesting a few modifications, most of which are related to the building typology standards for the mid-rise apartment building. That does include waiving the requirement for the minimum frontage width and the installation of a frontage type, since the site does not have frontage on a public street. Also increasing the maximum lot area for a mid-rise apartment building from 2 acres to 5.46 acres. And then increasing the number of units for a single building from 120 units to 134 units. The final modification request is related to parking. Multifamily parking is based on the number of bedrooms per unit. Based on the proposed mix of units, the site is required 197 parking spaces. The site plan up on the screen shows that the site can meet the parking requirements. However, the applicant is requesting to defer the installation of 48 parking spaces, which are primarily on the north and south side of the development. Of the 149 spaces that are proposed, 55 spaces will be covered by carports, which are the darker grayed areas shown over the parking spaces. The applicant anticipates that the average age of residents will be in the 80s, with some residents not having personal vehicles. Most units, regardless of size, will likely be single occupancy, and therefore that's why they're requesting the reduction to defer 48 parking spaces. Should there be a higher than expected demand for parking, the applicant, again, can accommodate the parking, but they would prefer not to install that unless absolutely needed at a later date. The site has also required 1 bike parking space per unit. The applicant is requesting to reduce the number from 134 spaces to 20 spaces, which staff believes is acceptable and has been reduced on similar development projects in the past. Some conceptual building elevations for the site include a 3-story, 109,000 square foot apartment building. Entrances to each unit will be accessed through internal corridors. Many units will also include outdoor balconies and patios. Exterior building materials include a mix of brick, stucco, lap siding, and shingle siding. The H shape of the building creates courtyards on both the north and south side of the main corridor, which provides shared amenity spaces for residents. Many of the balconies and patios will also overlook the courtyards. The building design includes variations in massing, projections, roof lines, materials, and other architectural details, which meet the intent of the residential design guidelines. The overall design will also complement the retail portion of White Oak Marketplace. The site is required a minimum of 15% of the lot area to be devoted to active open space, which amounts to 0.82 acres. The site plan shows 0.87 acres of open space provided through 3 pocket parks, which include a large pocket park on the south property line, and then both courtyards on the north and south side of the main corridor meet the intent of the pocket park definition through the amenities that are being provided, which would include seating, game areas, covered structures, and fire pits. Amenities and landscaping will be reviewed in more detail as part of the PUD final plan and site plan design review. A minimum of 15-foot landscape buffers are required along all property lines, since all adjacent properties are zoned general business. 2 of the carport structures on the east property line encroach 2 feet into that 15-foot landscape buffer. The applicant may request approval of an alternative compliance landscape plan with the site plan design review to permit that encroachment. Staff does believe that the project meets all the concept plan review criteria and that the requested modifications are appropriate in a high-density residential infill site. The project positively represents planning and urban design principles and is the type of redevelopment that is encouraged and is supported by the comprehensive plan, the specific plan, the previously approved White Oak Marketplace PUD, and the 2019 chat report. Staff does recommend approval of the requested rezoning from general business PUD to high-density residential PUD, and approval of the PUD concept plan for novel place at White Oak Marketplace, subject to 3 conditions in the staff report. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions for staff?
I'm concerned about the assumptions that are all being made, about 6 of them going down to get to the parking. Is there going to be an actual age restriction in the deed somewhere so that we know this is going to be senior exclusive? And then maybe a net question for the applicant. And what age is that going to be? Because I think 80 is a very high age to figure as an average.
Yeah, and I'll let the applicant respond to that and how they make that determination and what the age restrictions will be. And then also let them speak to the parking reduction request.
And the covered parking is covered but not enclosed, is that correct?
Correct, yeah, they would be carport structures. And that's something that we'll review in more detail, the building design of that with the final plan.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Would the applicant like to come forward?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Okay, you'll need to be sworn in. Give us your name and address, please.
It's Rich Wood of the Polsinelli Law Firm, 4700.
Pardon me?
Rich Wood from the Polsinelli Law Firm,
Okay. Address?
4700 Place, 47th Place, Kansas City, Missouri.
Now you'll be sworn
You
in.
solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Again, my name is Rich Wood from the Polsinelli Law Firm, representing the applicant Novel Place Investments, LLC. I also have with me Geoff Berg from Colliers International, who's representing Novel Place as well, and also the project architect from Davidson Architecture and Engineering, Justin Bridges. We're all available for questions. Staff did a thorough job of presenting this application. I certainly don't want to repeat everything that was said. We agree with all the comments that were in the written staff report that was in your packet. We also agree with the comments made tonight by the staff in the meeting. We note that staff recommended approval of both of the applications. We ask for your support in recommending approval to the City Council of both applications.
Okay.
Allergy season has started and it's starting to kick. We also request the modifications that are noted in the staff report and that were detailed by the planning department tonight. We think this is an appropriate use of the site. It's compatible with your comprehensive plan, adjacent zoning and land uses, which are general business. Again, we ask for your support for the application. We're available for questions. We would ask if there is any negative testimony for the applications that we have a chance to respond to that afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. I know we're on rezoning, but when we also are going to be voting on the planning and development, so this would be a time if you want to.
Yeah, and this is definitely a question that goes to the PUD as opposed to the
Correct. The
rezoning itself. You'll have to be sworn in also.
Yes.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Your name and address?
Good evening. My name is Justin Bridges. I'm with Davidson Architecture and Engineering. I'm the architect for the project. Address is 4301 Indian Creek Parkway in Overland Park, Kansas. Thank you for listening to our application tonight. We appreciate that. To answer your more specific question, there is not a deed restriction regarding a strict age restriction. The reason being there may be occupants within the building that may require some assistance that would not require being in an assisted living facility, which would be the next step up. Independent living could support limited mental disabilities or physical disabilities, and families may be interested in having their family members in a facility like this, where they could have somebody come in and check on them, as opposed to out on their own and not having that ability.
Okay, so, and given what you've just said, that even more skews my thought as to how do you come up with the average age is going to be 80 years old?
We have done, we have developed.
That seems very high.
We have developed a few of these with other ownership groups, and actually it might be low. I think the current age in two of the other facilities that we've looked at are in their mid 83, yeah. So it's right in that mid 80s, and most of the residents are all single individuals. They've lost their spouse and are living on their own, and that's why their families are moving them into these facilities. These are quite a bit more expensive than just an age-restricted facility. So you wouldn't likely just move in here as just on a whim.
Okay, well, I guess that's where I'm confused, because when I read through this, I was assuming that this would be something that would be open to, say, anyone who was 60 plus or something like that, who just didn't want the expense of a home anymore and wanted the convenience of an apartment.
It is, and I think if you were doing,
that skews that age much differently than what you're talking about.
It is, and it is a possibility that younger folks would be moving in. It's just what we found is that the average age is in that mid 80s. So you might have a few people that are on the lower end of that. Most of them aren't moving into these facilities until they're in their 80s, though.
Are you marketing this as an independent facility?
Yes, it is specifically independent. It is not marketed as just age-restricted apartment housing. It's not intended for that.
So it's just going to be an independent living.
Yes.
So anybody can move into it. That's basically what an independent means.
Yeah, if you want to kind of define that a little further.
Yeah, go ahead, you come on up, we'll take all of you.
Hi.
If you give us,
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, thank you.
your name and address.
Sure, my name is Geoff Berg with Colliers International. Address is 4520 Main Street, Suite 1000, Kansas City, Missouri. Yes, so to answer some of your questions, yes, you could move in, but the way the product is designed, it's not like an aged apartment unit. We provide 2 meals, we provide transportation, cleaning services, and a lot of other amenities, and you pay for that. Our starting rents are about $1,800 a month, where if you were just going to move into an apartment that was 55 plus without those amenities, you could probably get that for a half or a third of the price. So it really is targeted to people who have to move in by need. They're not able to really function in their homes alone, or cook their meals or clean their places. And that's why our average age has tended to 83. It would not be a tremendously attractive setting probably for somebody who was completely 65 years old and completely functional on their own.
Will you have some type of staff there?
Yeah, there is staff. There's a resident director. There's a concierge who helps coordinate home health care services. Although we don't provide the services ourselves, we lease a space in the building to an independent home health care provider, and the concierge helps match the residents with the home health care. We have, I believe, with the kitchen, we have full-time kitchen staff and people like that. So at any given time during the day, I believe there's 8-9 employees or so
You mentioned you provide transportation, public transportation. Can you describe that?
Yeah, we have two vehicles. One is kind of a larger van type vehicle, or maybe small bus, and one is a smaller, like a minivan type.
Is it similar to most of the other seniors' facilities where you take them to Walmart or?
That's
to
exactly
stores
right.
or
And we could take them to their doctor or their dentist or to Walmart to go shop or to the art gallery or something like that. It's part of the amenity that comes with, and that's why there's not as much need for parking. We do see in the ones we've done before, when they first move in, they may bring a car. And then it sits there in the parking lot unused for a year or two, and then they usually end up selling the car.
How many of these facilities do you have in existence?
We have done one in Mission, Kansas, and it's at 61st and Metcalf. It's called the Wellstone. We built that one about 3 years ago or so, and turned out very successful, luckily. And this is modeled on that, and it's an improvement thereof. We built that with other partners. We have a new partner for this one, but we've learned along the way. That one was successful, but we did learn, and this design reflects some of what we have learned along the way.
Owing to that fact, the one that wasn't successful, how did you make the changes?
Yeah, so it became successful. A few examples of mistakes that we made that we learned from. We had a big fitness facility right on the first floor off the lobby, and we thought it would be great and it had very proprietary equipment that helps seniors stay healthy and become healthier, and we thought that was a great thing, and it is a great thing. But we realized that the seniors did not want to exercise right off the lobby where everybody's watching them, and where it looked more like a rehab center. So we moved that facility down into a different level of the building and turned what used to be that very valuable space into kind of more of a bar, lounge, recreational area. And that once we did that, that really started our leasing up very well. We also modified some of our meal offerings, as opposed to very heavy meals. We will probably do continental breakfast in the morning and let them choose whether they want dinner or lunch instead of having all three meals.
I believe some of us initially thought that you were, like the commissioner mentioned, you were attracting younger residents, and
Yeah.
it sounds like it's more of for senior living.
So it is for it is senior living. And independent living has really morphed. Just as now that we're able to offer home health care in the building but not out of a licensed facility, people can really age in place there. It's really been the trend in the senior living industry over the last 10, 15 years or so that assisted living, what used to be assisted living is now handled by independent living, and assisted living has become more acute care or rehab or higher level of degree. So it's all moved up, but we do somewhat function as assisted living, but it's a la carte. It's not built into the services, and we're not licensed, but they can get some of those services through the home health care that has an office in the building.
What about medication management?
We can help, as long as it's not a licensed medication provider. We have people who can help them organize their medications for them. I am not honestly qualified to talk about whether what's licensed in the medication management. I'm not that much of an expert. I know that we can assist, but we can't do a licensed medication management.
So you cannot administer?
No, we cannot. We cannot administer.
Will you have a physician coming by visiting?
Again, that they can do that as part of the home health care. They can hire the home health care on their own to come by and visit. We don't provide the staff to do that. We're not licensed to do that. But we have the home health care agency with an office in the building, and they can separately contract with that home health care agency to have them come by and help them administer medications and things like that.
Your residents can use your vans to.
They cannot
doctor's
drive them
appointments and
themselves.
That kind of thing, right?
But we have drivers, but they're not allowed to drive the
I've got
vans
some
themselves.
questions. Just a moment.
Can we kind
Yeah.
of circle back to the item at hand, please?
Item, yeah. Okay.
I need his name and company name again.
Okay, we need your name and company again.
Yeah, my name is Geoff Berg, B-E-R-G, and the name of the company is Colliers, C-O-L-L-I-E-R-S,
Yeah.
International.
Yeah, I think the only thing I was concerned, but now I've listened to you and everything, and I've listened to all of them, is the parking. That was all I was gonna, but
Yeah.
I think that,
If you look at the one way we did at 61st and Metcalf,
Yeah.
Justin, how many spaces does that have?
The other
The
location
Wellstone, yeah.
has 108 spaces with 101 units. And so it essentially allows one parking space per unit, and that one functions and does have excess parking right now because they have a similar driving service that takes the residents out. The other thing to note here is that we have allocated the area. If we do need to place the additional parking in, we can get to the full parking requirement if we needed to.
okay. The only question I was gonna ask you is if you were gonna have it as senior living, if you're gonna, if it's gonna be restricted to senior living, or if it's gonna just be called independent living, because it could be a younger
It's
person
actually a
being
combination.
independent.
It's
and
called
that's what I
independent
need to
senior
know.
living.
Yeah.
That is its combination. It's called independent senior living is how it's marketed.
Independent senior living.
yes.
Thank you. I just needed to know how you were gonna word it.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. All right.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. I know we're not talking about this for the rezoning, but I think this does kind of go into the PUD a little bit. I guess I'm confused by the terminology, because to me, that's not independent living. It's a step above independent living. Independent living is, you've got your own kitchen, you at least sometimes cook your own meals, you have access to a restaurant, but you don't necessarily use it, and the 60 to 70-year-olds are living there. I mean, that's independent living to me. I'm confused by the terminology.
I think, Justin, you hit it. The difference is a senior apartment complex versus a senior independent living facility. We offer more services for people with higher needs. Somebody wouldn't come to live in our facility and pay for the 2 meals a day. I mean, it's not cheap. They wouldn't pay for the 2 meals a day every single day, and they wouldn't pay for the option of having drive if they just wanted to live somewhere with other seniors.
Could I ask you a question since
Yeah.
he brought it up?
Yes.
So if I decide to move in, I could just check off my needs
You
and
would.
not have to pay for those things, but yet I wanted to live there.
You do have, that's why the average age is 83, because yes, as part of the standard.
Then I'm not eligible to live there?
No, you could. You would just have to choose. You would have to say it's worth it to me to pay $1,800 a month and get 2 meals, and
What if I don't need the 2 meals?
you still have to.
Oh,
See,
well,
that's the thing about independent living, and that's
I
what
know.
he's trying to
well,
explain,
I
I
won't be moving
think.
in.
Yeah.
Is that-
You could. We'd love to have you, but you would be getting things that you don't need.
That's right. Okay. you got
Independent
it.
living, your independent senior living is geared toward individuals
With needs.
who have some need.
There's a need. They have to be out of the house usually for some reason, whether they're not competent to turn off the stove, or they're just not. They don't feel safe at home.
Well, they
anymore.
have a mini refrigerator and a microwave and at least that in their
Yes.
little room. Yeah, okay. I got it.
Yes, they will.
What is your average cost for
Well,
units?
we just need to get back in a PUD. We can talk about all these things later. We need to get these things approved, okay? Or at
Yeah,
least
I
bring
think some of this
motions.
is going to be more specific when we get into the
When we
site
get
plan
it,
too.
when we get to the site plan, we can ask them a lot more questions. So that'll be another one. All right. So
And
you
we,
need to start.
we do love to talk about the product because
I know,
you
you're-
guys are good representatives to the community.
We're asking all the questions way early, right? Okay, let's go on. And is there anything else that you want to bring up? I know you've got a lot of questions, but they're going to have a site plan that's going to come forward. We'll be able to talk and ask a lot of questions there.
Can we talk about the parking at that time?
Yes, the parking will be part of the site plan as
Yeah.
well.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I am totally opposed to the parking.
not having what they're wanting?
I think they need more.
Okay.
And just on that point, I do want to reiterate that we have the ability to pave enough parking to meet the code if the demand warrants. We just thought it would be wasteful sea of asphalt to do it early when we could have green space. But if there is a need for parking, we could take away the green space and then meet the code.
Okay. We can go on further with that. All right. Any other comments or questions? I'm sure there will be later. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone that would like to come forward that would like to speak in favor of this project? Anyone in opposition? Okay. Hearing none, I'll bring it back forward. Do commissioners have any other comments? Questions? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close the meeting. And I would entertain a motion for the rezoning.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner?
I move that rezoning request RZ 03196829 for Novel Place at White Oak Marketplace be approved as submitted by staff.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
You have a second? All right. Roll call, please.
Planning Commissioner Casey,
Aye.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Fairbanks,
No.
Commissioner Peel,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
Commissioner Haney,
Aye.
Commissioner Billups,
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff,
Aye.
Chairman Banks.
Aye. Okay, our recommendation for the rezoning will go to the city council, and they'll be hearing that on April the 1st at 6 o'clock. They meet at 6 o'clock. Okay? Now I will go to the public hearing. Amended planned unit development concept plan, the PUDC 03196830 has 3 conditions. I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner?
I move that amended plan unit development concept plan PUDC 03196830 with the 3 conditions be approved as submitted by staff.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second. Roll call, please.
Planning Commissioner Fairbanks,
No.
Commissioner Peel,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
Commissioner Haney,
Aye.
Commissioner Billups,
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff,
Aye.
Commissioner Casey,
Aye.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Chairman Banks.
Aye. All right. The amended planned unit development was approved by the Planning Commission with the 3 conditions. It will also be heard by the City Council. Our recommendation will go to them, and they will hear it April the 1st as well as 6 o'clock. All right. Now we're going to move on to the public hearing for Duvet vacation. We'll hear that separately, so I will open that public hearing and ask for the attorney to read the exhibits.
Madam Chairman, I offer the following exhibits into the record. 1, staff report with attachments. 2, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on March 9, 2019. 3, application with attachments. 4, 185-foot notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of the letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title 4 Land Use Section Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. And 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Jury?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Planning Commissioners. Before you today is a request from Durvet to vacate a 15-foot utility easement located along the east property line of Lot 8 of Walnut Street Development Center, second plat. It's located on the undeveloped property that fronts 40 Highway, as you can sort of make out the outline of the property here, and it's just on the east boundary of that property and the dashed lines there. This 15-foot utility easement does have an existing water main located within the easement. All other utilities besides the public water or the city water have consented to this vacation. So there are a few conditions based on the existing water main, and I'll go through a little bit of that. The Public Works did consent to the vacation, provided that a new utility easement is dedicated that reroutes the existing utility easement prior to building permit issuance, and that we'll cover in a little bit with a final plat request that Dervet has also applied for. Also, prior to building occupancy, new water main must be installed in that new easement, as well as built drawings and 2-year maintenance bonds submitted as required by Public Works. Those are the only conditions that Public Works has placed on the vacation of this. Staff believes that this request meets all other review criteria for the vacation. The purpose of this request from Dervet side of things is that they do want to combine their existing property, which fronts Adamsbury Parkway, and this undeveloped property, which fronts US 40 Highway, as one property, and expand their current operations into that undeveloped property. And the vacation of this and the rerouting of a new utility easement will allow them to do so. With that, staff does recommend approval of this vacation with 4 conditions, and I'll stand for any questions.
Are there any questions for staff?
Madam Chair?
Commissioner?
Mr. Jury, can you explain who will pay or take on the work of putting the new main water in?
So as part of the construction process, Dervet will be responsible for, one, dedicating the easement, and also responsible for the cost of rerouting that water main through the newly dedicated easement.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions? All right. Would the applicant like to come forward? And you'll need to give your name, be sworn in.
Okay,
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your name and address. I think we've got it, though.
Yeah.
Brad Sonner with Olson, 7301 West 133rd, Overland Park, Kansas. Mr. Jury's summary was well given, and we're here simply asking for support. We're in agreement with the recommendations for approval, and I'll stand for any questions.
Okay, well, this is just on the vacation just now. Any other questions on the vacation? Gather not. But I'll be calling you back.
Yeah.
All right, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of the vacation? Anyone opposed? Any other conversation? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing on the vacation for Dervet. And I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner?
I move that vacation VAC 03196832 with the 4 conditions be approved as submitted by staff.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
May I have a second, Commissioner Fairbanks? Roll call, please.
Planning Commissioner Sanderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry, Commissioner Haney, Commissioner Billups,
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff,
Aye.
Commissioner Casey,
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Fairbanks,
Aye.
Commissioner Peel,
Aye.
Chairman Banks.
Aye. Okay, that motion carried. That will be heard April 1st at the City Council at 6 p.m. So now I'm going to open the public hearing, and we're going to hear all the two together. They'll have the public hearing, conditional use, and also the site plan and design review together, and the final plat. So if the city attorney please read the exhibits.
Madam Chairman, I offer the following exhibits into the record for the public hearing for the conditional use permit CUP 03196833. Exhibit 1, staff report with attachments. 2, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on March 9, 2019. 3, application with attachments. 4, 185-foot notification map. 5, names, addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of the letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section, Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference, and 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Planning Commissioners.
Mr. Jury?
For these few requests, the final plat, the CUP, conditional use, and the site plan and design review, I'll start with the final plat. since I referenced that previously. So with the final plat, the Dervet is requesting approval of the Walnut Street Development Center third plat, which does combine the two lots, to the two existing lots, the undeveloped property, as well as their current location, which is 100 Southeast Magellan Drive, as well as including the property that was recently vacated, which was previously known as Southeast Magellan Drive, which is now a private street called Southeast Magellan Drive. So in this final plat, I'll pull that up. The two properties are combined. The property line between the existing lot and the undeveloped lot is removed, and then also that, as you can see, there was an easement reserved where the Southeast Magellan was vacated, reserving access and utility easement across that property where the right-of-way used to be. And so you can sort of see where that outline of the Magellan Drive on their half of Magellan is included as part of this plat. Staff does, I'll mention that this plat does meet all of the requirements for a final plat to be approved. And the only conditions of approval are based on that utility easement, which is shown in the rerouting of that utility easement is on the west boundary of this plat now, rather than where that vacation was on the east boundary of that existing lot. So there is a utility easement on this plat, which so the vacation must be approved so that the vacated utility easement isn't necessarily needed to be shown on this plat. And then that this final plat will need to be recorded at the Jackson County Recorder of Deeds prior to building permit issuance, excuse me. Also, prior to occupancy, as part of this final plat, the water main must be relocated from its current existing location over and rerouted through the proposed dedicated utility easement, and as-built drawings into your maintenance bonds, similar to the condition of the vacation, will need to be provided to Public Works. As far as the conditional use permit and the site plan design review requests, Dervet is requesting to develop quite a bit of the property here on that undeveloped property. Altogether, their existing building, the current building as it lies, is about 82,000 square feet, and they are proposing over doubling that with phase 1 and phase 2 combined, adding a little over 94,000 square feet. Phase 1 is approximately 54,000 square feet, and phase 2 would be a 40,000 square foot addition. And phase 1 outlining here in red, and then the phase 2 addition would be that second portion there. Phase 1 will include the entire retaining wall, since this property does have quite a grade change from where 40 Highway is to where they're planning on building. And you can see that retaining wall coming around there on the south side of the building. It'll include phase 1 will include all the retaining wall, all of the additional parking, as well as most of the landscaping, except for a few trees, which I'll point out on the landscape plan. There are a few trees on the top side of the retaining wall along phase 2's proposed building addition that they will wait to install those trees until after phase 2 is the triggers pulled on phase 2. As far as timing of phase 1, Dervet does want to move forward with phase 1 as soon as possible. Phase 2, I've discussed the timing of that with with their vet, and they've mentioned that probably won't happen in the next 5 years, but 7, 10 is more likely. But it's all dependent on their business model and everything. So I'll get into a little bit of the requirements for conditional use and the site plan. In terms of this proposal, the request for the conditional use is to allow storage, warehouse, and wholesale on a property zoned light industrial in the Adams Dairy Parkway overlay, so LI-ADPO. In order to do this, they do need approval of a conditional use permit to allow that use on the property. Staff, there are no use standards specific to the storage, warehouse, and wholesale use, only the performance standards in each zoning district, the LI and the ADPO zoning district. Staff believes that this does meet the intent of both the light industrial and the Adams Dairy Parkway overlay. And staff believes that this conditional use would be a welcome addition to this location. In terms of the building and the actual site plan design review, the development meets almost all of the requirements. Phase 1 meets all of the UDC, Unified Development Code requirements. The only exception is in Phase 2. The proposed addition of the 40,000 square foot addition in Phase 2 does actually bring the floor area ratio, and it exceeds the floor area ratio required in the Adams Dairy Parkway overlay. The Adams Dairy Parkway overlay does have a maximum floor area ratio of 0.3 or 0.3 square feet for every 1 square foot of lot area, and Phase 1 is right at that 0.3 to 1 ratio, but Phase 2 actually does bring the floor area ratio up to 0.4, which exceeds the allowed floor area FAR. Staff does believe that if we condition the approval of Phase 2 based on a future application, whether that's a variance, a rezoning out of the ADPO, or a potential UDC text amendment to the ADPO zoning code itself, that they can move forward with Phase 1 since it does meet all of the requirements, but Phase 2 would be conditioned upon a future approval or a change in the code. They do meet all of the setbacks and building height and coverage besides that floor area ratio. They are providing enough parking for their proposed use, and they are also providing enough bicycle parking as well. They're providing 2 spaces for their the required bicycle parking, which is based on a percentage, 3% of the projected number of employees. As in terms of landscaping, they are preserving quite a bit of the existing landscaping around the existing building, as well as some of the landscaping along 40 Highway, and a combination of the existing and some of the proposed landscaping around the addition does actually meet the entirety of the landscape requirements. They also do meet with Phase 1 and Phase 2 the landscape open space requirement for the Adams Dairy Parkway overlay, which in the Adams Dairy Parkway overlay, they are required a minimum of 40% landscape area, open space area, and Phase 1 they're at 50%, and Phase 2 they drop down to 40%, but they still meet that code even for the open space requirement, even with Phase 2. In terms of screening, at time of construction, if there are any visible units from the right-of-way, then those will need to be screened. And the building itself, I'll go into a little bit and show the design of that. here's a bird's eye view from the northeast, showing that building addition. And some elevations as well. In terms of the building height, it does meet the requirements. The building materials will match, be consistent with the existing building, and so they're just continuation of what is existing there. There's the exterior facade will be made up of concrete wall panels, tilt-up concrete with an EIFS finish, which does match the existing building. The retaining wall will be a modular block system, similar to what is existing there in the southeast corner of the building. There's a little bit of a retaining wall, not as large as what will be proposed on this addition, but there are some existing retaining walls on site that they will be matching or being similar to with their proposed retaining wall. In terms of lighting, prior to building permit issuance, any outdoor lighting does need to meet UDC standards and also be approved as part of the building permit. Same goes for signage as well. So with that, staff does recommend approval of the final plat with 3 conditions, the conditional use permit with 4 conditions, and the site plan design review with 5 conditions. And I'll stand for any questions.
Okay. Are there any questions for, yes, Commissioner?
Yeah, maybe I missed it here. Is the wall, the entire retaining wall in phase 1?
Correct, yeah. The entire retaining wall will be built with phase 1.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, Commissioner Fairbanks?
Yes, on that ratio, 3 to 1, 0.3 to 1, or 0.4 to 1 for phase 2. If you take the entire complex, the current building and the 2 phases added, do you know what the ratio is then?
So that is including the existing, all platted as one property. So the calculation of the 0.3 to 1 ratio is the roughly 80,000 plus the 54,000 square foot. And that's roughly 125 or so. And the property itself is approximately 440,000 square feet. So about at the ratio of for the full build out, I do have in the staff report the actual ratio shows the building coverage of 175,000, almost 176,000 out of the 442,000 square foot lot. And if you subtract 40,000 off of that 175, I guess 135,000 out of a 442,000 square foot lot approximately.
So the 0.4 does include the original structure plus the 2 phases.
Correct.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for staff? Commissioner?
Madam Chair, Nathan?
Jury.
Mr. Jury. On the phase 2, if I read in the agenda right, the text in it says that if we approve phase 1 tonight, phase 2 that approval will carry over for the next 10 years for the phase 2 construction?
Yes.
Is that setting a precedent, or has that occurred previously?
So in the UDC, there is an allowance that, and I did fail to mention this, I guess. In the UDC, there is an allowance that if the developer does request an extension to the normal expiration of a site plan design review, that extension can be approved up front by the Planning Commission. And in this instance, the normal expiration date is for a site plan design review is 2 years.
So if they don't, in essence, if they didn't pull the trigger for phase 2 within 2 years, they'd have to come back before you for that phase 2. They are requesting approval of phase 2 in theory tonight, besides the floor area ratio, and they're asking that approval to be extended till 2029.
And again, has that been done previously that you're aware of for other situations?
Not in my time here.
I don't.
I'm not sure. Do you know of any?
It's just unusual. Kind of makes me a little uncomfortable to give them a 10-year worth of approval, but thank you for the answer. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Well, would the applicant like to come forward again?
Sure.
We need to be sworn in. Well, you've already been sworn in. Do we need? No, we've
Okay.
already got everything.
Okay, yeah. So again, excellent summary by Mr. Jury. Again, we're in agreement with all the recommendations for approval on the 3 applications, and I would be glad to stand for any questions.
Are there any questions for the applicant? Not that I'm aware of. Just glad that Dervet's not leaving and that they're growing within Blue Springs from a 2-van guy company to what they are now and expanding. So that's my opinion. I'm glad to have you stay. So, okay. Any other questions? I put that on record. So I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearings. Pardon me? Oh, in favor. Is there anybody, excuse me, thank you, I haven't closed it yet, I'll unclose it. Is there anybody that would like to speak in favor or in opposition? Hearing none, I'll regavel and close it again. All right, thank you very much. Okay, I would entertain a motion on the public hearing for Duvet on the conditional use permit first.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
I make a motion to approve VAC location 031968.
No,
let's go
we've
to
already
number
done that.
6.
Pardon?
We're Duvet.
We're on number 7. We've already done number 6.
We're on them.
No,
We're down.
No, we're doing 6.
We're the conditional use permit.
Yeah, we did a conditional use permit.
We've already done the other one.
Okay. Conditional use permit, CUP 03196833.
Thank you.
With the 4 conditions.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I got you all out of whack.
And I'll second.
And it's seconded. Roll call, please.
Planning Commissioner Sanderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
Commissioner Haney,
Aye.
Commissioner Billups,
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff,
Aye.
Commissioner Casey,
Aye.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Fairbanks,
Aye.
Commissioner Peel,
Aye.
Chairman Banks.
Aye. That motion carried. Okay. Then I would entertain a motion for the site plan design review with 5 conditions.
Madam Chair, I'll so move. That would
Okay.
move SPDR 03196834, Duravet with 5 conditions.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Peel. All right, that motion carried. Now we have the final plat for Walnut Street Development. Do I hear a motion?
I will make the motion for
Okay.
plat PF 03196835 with 3 conditions.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Peel? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the final plat for Walnut Street Development was, our recommendation will be forwarded to the city council. They will hear that April the 1st at 6 o'clock, okay? So I think that, that's been approved by the Planning Commission. Is there any other business?
Madam Chair, there's no other business aside from letting you know that we will have our next meeting on Monday, April 8th, and we should have a number of items on that agenda.
Okay, April 8th. Is there any other business anybody wants to share? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting's adjourned. Good night. Thank you for being here.